I miss the days where MMOs were simple games to play. There wasn't a bajillion buttons to press, all these different mechanics you need to understand, chaos happening on the screen.
Super high intensity. If you stop paying attention for like 1 minute, you're gonna die. Meanwhile, you've got this one right here, and there's one mob. It's really simple, and it's easy to understand. 2 guys are here. So yeah, it's just way more clean, exactly. Like, it's just easier to watch. Like, what? Oh my god.
That brings us to Monsters and Memories, a new game being made that's very simple to play, harkening back to the simplicity of classic EverQuest or classic World of Warcraft. But I do expect Monsters and Memories M&M to be confusing for new players. It doesn't tell you what to do or how to play it. There's no real hand-holding. So if you do have no idea how to get started in Monsters and Memories, this is the video for you. Now, if you're already kind of familiar with this style of game, this is the TLDR. Kill mobs in the newbie yard, level up. Around level 4 to 5, you'll want to start grouping. The end. On to the in-depth guide. Character creation. To download the game, you need to go to their website, make an account, and grab their proprietary launcher. And once done, you're good to go. Okay, so the first thing to do is you pick a server and then create a character. So first question, what class should you pick? There's a bunch of classes to choose from, but do keep in mind that some classes are limited to certain races only. But the gist of M&M is that this game really wants you to group with other players, and all the classes are built around that. Most mobs in this game are so difficult that you really need to group with other players to make it feasible. And so there are 4 main roles in a group. Tanks hold the mob's attention and take all the hits. Healers heal people. DPS deal damage. And crowd controllers, they incapacitate the extra mobs attacking the group. Groups can have 6 players in them, so an ideal group is a tank, heals, crowd control, and 3 DPS. I'm going to put up slides so you can pause if you want more detail, but I'm going to run through it quick. Tanks are fighters, paladins, shadow knights, and inquisitors. Fighters are pure melee, no spells. Paladins are a fighter healer combo. Shadow knights are a fighter DPS combo, and inquisitor is a fighter crowd control combo. Healers are cleric, druid, and shaman. As an aside, it's unknown what the meta is at this time. We really don't know how these classes are going to shape up strength-wise. Long story short, everything I say here is subject to change. Clerics generally have the strongest heals and can resurrect dead players. Druids have quick teleports around the world and get a run speed buff. Shaman have some of the strongest buffs and debuffs in the game. They get a run speed buff. Caster DPS are elementalists, necromancers, and wizards. They use mana to deal damage from afar. Elementalists use various elemental pets and can summon items. Necromancers use undead pets and efficiently deal damage over time. Wizards are all about huge nukes and teleporting players around. Melee DPS are Archer, Beastmaster, Monk, Ranger, Rogue, and Spellblade, the most variety by far. Archers just use bows to deal damage from afar, that's all they do. Rangers are just like archers, but they throw in some spells and they can get in melee. Monk is just a martial artist, light armor and fists to deal damage. Beastmaster is a monk shaman hybrid. They use martial arts and a bestial pet to deal damage. Rogues use daggers to deal big damage with backstab. And Spellblade is a fighter wizard hybrid. They do melee damage, cast nukes, and can imbue their weapons with procs. And lastly, the 4th role crowd controllers are enchanters and bards. Enchanters are the caster flavor of crowd control, and bards are my favorite class ever. They are the melee flavor of crowd control. So what class should you pick? Just pick whatever sounds coolest to you or appeals to you. But these are some suggestions if you're completely lost. What classes are best at soloing? Again, we don't really know the meta yet, but I would assume pet classes would do the best. specifically necromancers, elementalists, and maybe beastmasters. But this game is not really designed around soloing though. It really wants you to group with others. So if you're not going to solo, what about grouping? What classes get groups the fastest? Generally, DPS classes are the most common. They're dime a dozen, so they're the least valuable. I would bet Enchanter being the number one most valuable, then a tank class number 2, and the third most valuable, the third quickest to get a group, being a healer. And if you're willing to be a puller on any class for that matter, people will also want you. Now for some other stuff, character creation. What stats should you pick? Again, we don't entirely know what all the stats do, but based upon past games, we can assume that strength will probably affect your melee damage and how much you can carry. Stamina will affect how much health you have. Wisdom is the mana pool for healer classes, and intelligence is the mana pool for caster DPS classes. Next, if you can have any sort of vision enhancement, like ultravision, infravision, I would grab that. As far as trade skill, I would recommend Woodworker. And for deity, it's not fully developed yet. It's got these cool placeholder pictures. I would just go agnostic to be safe. Deity will likely involve some exclusive quests and armor for only those of the faith. It'll probably also affect your faction with various NPCs, making you more friendly or hostile in certain areas, but agnostic is generally the safest bet. Okay, so you've made your character, now what? I'd open up the options menu and adjust any keybinds you like. You can also adjust people's names, shorten them, remove them, so your screen isn't cluttered with all this text. And if you start at nighttime, it's going to be pretty dark. It's going to be hard to see. If this is still in the game, you can adjust your gamma slider to make the world a bit brighter at night. The other thing you can do for when it's this dark out, you can open up your inventory and right-click on the torch in your hand to see better. Make good use of it though, it won't last forever. And obviously don't have the torch going on during the day, you don't want to waste it. So you click on it again to make it stop. Next, you want to right-click any spells in your inventory to memorize them, and then load them up. Now what to do? So in the newbie yard, you can start killing mobs now to get EXP, or you can do your starter quest. If you press I for inventory, in your inventory will be a note, and if you click on it to read it, it'll tell you to run into the city and hand this note to your guildmaster, your class's guildmaster. A short quest will ensue, making you run around, do something, and then usually giving you a free piece of armor for your chest slot. Then after that quest, just kill mobs in the newbie yard for EXP. Right-click the bodies to loot them. And before I go too far, when you go near your guildmaster, so some pet classes require a reagent to summon their pet, like enchanters and magicians. These reagents, it will be sold at a merchant right next to your class's guildmaster. Necromancers, you need bone chips. Those drop off of skeletons. You can't really necessarily buy those. So how do you know where to go? This game does not have any maps built in. You just need to follow the road signs you see in the city or ask in OOC, out of character chat. And if you're really lost, there is a cartographer website being made for this game that can roughly show you where to go. So you finish your newbie quest, what next? You should kill mobs in the north or west gate newbie yards and try to do 2 other quests. This greedy gnome on the west gate newbie yard is the first quest everyone should do, and you want to do it immediately. He will give you a free 6-slot bag for just saying interested to him. And what he wants you to do is he wants you to fill it up with 6 cloth scraps and click combine. These cloth scraps, they drop off of skeletons and they drop off the dog people called Ashira. Once you get all the 6 cloth scraps, put one in each little slot of the bag, hit combine, and then you give the bag back to him. The greedy gnome will reward you with another bag first time around. And then I think it's a random piece of armor for subsequent attempts. But yeah, this guy gives you a free bag. Very valuable. Another thing to know is the consider command. So you target a mob and then you press the button to consider, being C by default. In your chat box, it'll show a color and some text. This is what the colors mean. Red is a mob that's a lot higher level than you. Yellow is a mob 1 to 2 levels higher than you. White is the same level. Blue is a few levels lower, and then green is many levels lower. You get the most experience by killing redcon mobs, but they're the most difficult. They are harder to hit, harder to land spells on, and they'll hit you harder. Beyond redcon mobs, you'll want to go for yellowcon or whitecon ones. They'll give you the next best experience per kill. Ideally, wherever you're at, try to kill mobs that are yellow, white, or blue con. In the consider text, it'll also tell you how a mob feels about you. Be careful if you see text that a mob wants to attack you. If you get too close, it'll instantly aggro you. There's only a few ways to drop aggro in this game. Run to the next zone over, kill the mob, die, or be one of the few classes with an ability called Feign Death. That's it. Mobs will not stop chasing you until one of those things happen. Make sure you consider stuff, especially even when you go invisible. If you have the invisibility spell, Invis is a good way to get around hostile mobs, but some of them will still be able to see through it. And the consider text will tell you. Like oftentimes undead mobs can see through invisibility. From 1 to level 3, you'll want to kill mobs in the newbie yards, Westgate or Northgate. And if that's too crowded, there are some other spots and some things you should keep an eye out for. If you see a skeleton with a weapon, beeline straight to it, go after it. It's a great source of money. And if you see a green dunes beetle, you want to go after them too, because they have drops that are for the second quest I'll mention. In the Sojourner's Camp is an NPC called Holt Beetle Wrangler. And if you give him certain combinations of beetle carapaces with beetle legs from the dunes beetles, he will give you some armor pieces. And one last thing, when you do get low on health or mana, if you sit down, you'll regenerate faster. Regen is pretty slow in this game, and that brings up the topic of food and drink. You'll start out with some food and drink, but you'll need to acquire some eventually. If you run out of food and it says you're starving, you won't regenerate health anymore. And if you run out of drink, it says you're thirsty, you won't regenerate mana either. So you always want to have some food or drink in your inventory. Many mobs will drop meat that you can cook into food for free, and then you can even sell this extra food to cover the cost of buying water at the taverns as well. Some classes are lucky because they have the luxury of being able to summon food and drink for free. So some things you want to focus on as you level, you need to earn money. So first, you want to get every bag slot filled. So this is where the bag merchant is. I would recommend getting the 50 copper pouches first, then get a small backpack next, and then 2 silver piece satchels. If you long click an item, it'll show you its description, its stats. It'll show you how big the item is, small, medium, extra large, and you'll only be able to fit certain size items in certain size bags. So backpacks fit the extra large stuff like weapons and armor, satchels fit medium stuff, and pouches fit small items. After you get all your bags, the next thing you want to spend money on is buying any new spells or abilities from your class guild master area as you level up. After that, you'll want to upgrade your weapon if you can. Tarnished is the next step up from your starter weapon. And lastly, you want to get a piece of gear in each slot. Cloth is the cheapest starting out. Now, there are 3 main ways to make money at a low level. First way, just kill mobs and sell their loot. That's the default thing to do. The second way to make money is vendor arbitrage. There are several greedy merchants in the game. They'll buy anything from you, but they'll rip you off. If you sell this loot to the correct merchants, you'll make more money. So what you can do is you buy items that other players sell to the greedy merchants, and then you run those items to the proper merchants in the city, and then you make a little money on top. Arbitrage. And number 3, my favorite way to make money starting out is selling trade skill items, specifically woodworking. Equip your woodworking axe. It's a 2-hander, so make sure you got nothing in your left hand. And once you have your axe on, you'll want to right click on any wood nodes you see. You'll get wood logs and resin. You can sell each individual piece of wood and piece of resin for 1 copper a pop, or you can craft it. Open your spellbook and click on the survival ability. You can craft 1 wood with 1 resin to make a crude torch. So this functions as an easy to get light source once your starter candle wears out, and you can also sell these torches for something like 4 to 6 copper a pop. So 1 wood and 1 resin gets you 2 copper if you just sell them raw, but if you craft it into a torch, you double if not triple your money. And another thing to know about wood logs in this game is you can make a campfire with 8 logs. The campfires will eventually die down and you refresh them by clicking on them with a wood log on your cursor. Campfires provide light, you can cook meat on them, but most importantly, they provide an experience bonus when you kill mobs under the rested effect that they give. You always want to set a campfire up wherever you're farming mobs, but campfires won't provide this bonus experience buff if it's raining, unfortunately. And a little side note, coin does have weight in this game, so you'll want to go to the bank and convert it. You'll want to store your extra money or convert it to smaller units so you don't have as much weight on you. So what are some areas you should check out for EXP? I'm only really familiar with the Desert City Night Harbor, but there's also a Treehouse City as another starting area. I don't know much about that spot. So from levels 1 to 3, you're going to want to do the solo, and you'll stick to the newbie yards, the north and west gates of Night Harbor. There's a tavern cellar and necropolis. And if those areas are still too crowded, you can move to the second zone over, particularly Shaded Dunes off the west. From level 5 and on, mobs are going to get a lot more difficult, and you're going to really want to group with other players. Keep an eye out in the chat channels for groups looking for players, or announce that you're looking for one yourself in OOC. And if you're really smart, find an open camp spot and make your own group. A lot of people don't want to do that legwork. So from 4 to 7, I would recommend crocodile hatchlings along the shorelines. You'll find various different camps in Night Harbor as well as Shaded Dunes along the coastline. And there's also a spot of grave diggers on the north side of Night Harbor. From 6 to 10, you could go to Shaded Dunes. You can kill some smugglers really far down on the coastline. There's this Ashira spot and an oasis and then various undead throughout the zone. And then from 9 to about 13, Shaded Dunes has this spot where there's a bunch of caiman and crocodiles walking along the coastline. Those are great to go after. There's a oasis where there's a bunch of mercenaries. They're like level 10. And there's a cemetery area in Night Harbor that has a day-night cycle. At nighttime, there's a bunch of high-level undead mobs. If you do go there, though, to that cemetery, the gate will lock at night, and there's a little quest to acquire the key. There's a guard that's right out front of the gate that you talk to. Next, so what happens with dying in this game? Dying in Monsters and Memories is extremely punishing. Try your best not to die. Your gear will stay on your body, including your spell book if you had one. You will lose experience if you die after level 5, so you can de-level, and you'll respawn at your last bind point. All casters have an ability called Bind Affinity around level 4, and you can use it on yourself or others to set their respawn point when they die. The run back to your body might take a while if your respawn point is pretty far away. Some classes have abilities where they can find the location of your corpse, so long as you're in the same zone as the body. Other classes can summon corpses for a fee, and a cleric or paladin can cast a resurrect spell on you to return you to your body and even return some lost experience. But anyways, the dying penalty in Monsters and Memories is highly contentious among the player base. I really don't like how it's handled currently. I'm hoping the devs tone it down, but it remains to be seen at this point. Conclusion. As of this video, Monsters and Memories is still being made, sort of an alpha state. They occasionally put out these short play tests every so often, and it's free to check those out. But the devs are planning to release the game in an open alpha or open beta, whatever it might be, in the first few months of 2026, and that will come with a $15 a month subscription. That's it. I don't even think you need to buy the game. It's just you pay the subscription once and you're good to go. You know, what I really like about this style of game is how important it can make you feel. Like, if you play your role really good in a group, it'll definitely be noticed by other people playing there with you. You can make a huge impact to those other people. And I really like feeling valuable in that way. And I also appreciate how simple and slow the combat is compared to newer games where there's just so much going on that's hard to understand. But hopefully this is enough information to get you going in Monsters and Memories. Thank you so much for watching.